All right, if you just joined us, it's still Journalist Hangout. I still have Adewale Adeoye and BK O'Brien here on Journalist Hangout. Now let's move straight to our next conversation. In any war, moral and physical victories are essential for greater performance by troops. As such, the Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, has hailed the Special Independent Investigative Panel on Human Rights Violation in Counterinsurgency in the Northeast for exonerating the armed forces of Nigeria from indictments over forceful abortions in the Northeast. The International Committee of the Red Cross and Reuters had accused the armed forces of perpetrating forced abortions and other infractions in the Northeast. The Director of Defense Information, Brigadier General Tukurguso, said the outcome of the investigation revealed that the report of the panel specifically stated that the allegations of systematic abortion, torture, rape, and extrajudicial killings leveled against the military were false. Now, BKO, the army has finally been vindicated, but help us make sense of the conclusion arrived at. In your opinion, was the investigation thorough enough?
Well, I want to believe that an investigation that began in March 2023 and terminated more than 1.5 years after must have been thorough. Usually when people come up with these allegations, they do not match the allegations with cast iron evidence, with the facts that you need to establish that you have spoken the truth. So, and the way the former president handled the matter, in my view, was dignified. He got an experienced judge, Justice Abdul Aboki, to handle the matter. So that is independent enough. It's not like, oh, they told the Ministry of Defense to go and handle it. The judiciary was asked to
be involved.
Yes, do the interviews. Who are the victims of systematic abortion? You know? It's just like the other day when I was reading Amnesty International's statement on the arraignment of the NBAC governance protesters. Okay. They were describing the people who were paraded as people who lawfully protested. Lawfully protested, and they were looting people's shops. Lawfully protested, and they were breaking into mosque. They even stole rugs in a mosque. Lawfully protested, and they went into the court premises, stole exhibits, including cash that was collected from kidnapped victims. Exhibits that could have been used to prosecute cases involving some very dangerous criminals. They took these things away, and you open your mouth and say, oh, they lawfully protested. Nobody was against protests. Just as I was saying to Bile the other day, no, nobody said don't protest. But what we feared was what eventually happened, because I knew that they didn't have the organizational savvy to be able to ensure that these protests did not degenerate into complete bedlam. And that's what we saw in Gombe, in Katsina, in Jigawa. They were looting. In Jigawa alone, lorry loads of fertilizer were looted. And you say that that is a lawful protest. What's your own definition of a lawful protest? Your definition of lawful protest is already compromised by the fact that you were biased against the government. If you are not biased against the government, you cannot close your eye to some of what happened on that day. These boys were even stealing traffic lights. Complete breakdown of law and order in the name of protest. Did people not protest in Egypt, in Tahrir Square? They protested and they achieved their aim. They didn't have to loot Cairo. And they brought down a government. That is the point that we are making. People believe that, once you say that people should protest in a decent way, you like the government. You don't want the government to be asked to account for its stewardship. No. We cannot close our eyes to this. And the point I'm making, what Amnesty International said is irresponsible. You can't say that the kind of protest that we saw in northern Nigeria, Zanga, Nasata, Zanga with the desire to steal, you can't say that was a lawful protest. There's nowhere in the world that I know where people are permitted to go and protest and begin to loot. When some people tried it in the UK, they were all arrested and put on trial. In our country, we think that it is wrong to put people who infringe on our laws on trial. And that's what, if you are saying that, systematic abortion, people, soldiers were forced to abort, then you must prove it. It's just like the case of that girl that we came here to dismantle the other day. I was telling one of our very senior managers, I said, this girl doesn't have a case. Watch me when I come and dismantle her case. Because facts are the tools of our trade. This is what my own Ogas taught me. Facts. Facts. When you have facts, you can defeat the best lawyer. The best lawyer. Facts. Because without facts, what are you? It's like talking to a wall. You face a wall and you start doing your mumbo jumbo. It makes no sense. It doesn't achieve anything. If you are saying, the armed forces have done this, they've done that, then provide evidence. We can't have a situation in which the sacrifices of our soldiers will be diminished by people who do not mean well, the enemies of our country.
BK, according to you, they said they spoke with close to 10,000 women.
Were you there?
No, that's according to the story.
I asked you a question.
I wasn't.
So it's not, people can make claims.
Okay.
See, let me tell you, in my years of practice of this profession, the biggest liars are the big people. Very big people in government, they will lie to you. They want to use you. They will lie to you. You go and do a story. Later, you discover that it's a lie. And when you call them that they should help you with evidence, if you are taken to court, they will run away. So as an editor, they did it to me. So the credibility... They will run away. Lawyers, some of those lawyers that you see, who make all the most noise, go on TV station. Politicians use them. They will come here and speak some mumbo jumbo. You think they are making sense. What they are saying is not backed by law. You think that because some of them have education, they have common sense. But there's a difference between having education and even applying it the right way. Somebody can say, well, we sampled 1 million people. How do we verify that?
So with this, the credibility of news agencies like Reuters can be called to question here.
How many times have people discountenanced Reuters story? Because they have a big name, does that mean that they cannot make a mistake? How many times you see even Trump will face CNN and be exposing them? Because they have a big name. Big TV stations, big media corporations have goofed. Some of them will come out and say, we are sorry. We apologize for what we did. Okay. The Daily Trust not do something similar the other day. Lied against the Nigerian government and made the government look stupid. We are in an age in which people publish things that when you go and check, you find that it's not true. Did they not say the president's wife was organizing prayer for the economy when it didn't happen? Nothing like that happened. And people were going around abusing her for something that didn't happen. And people like Atiku were even ridiculing them over fake news. You've not checked whether that story was true, but you are already issuing press statement ridiculing. We are a nation where a lot of things have collapsed. So I said these days, and I'm not saying because I'm on air, these days, when I read a story, I refuse to believe immediately. My default mode is not to believe in everything that I read. I take my time. Because these days, look, some of the stories that look so believable, I will discover after 1 or 2 days that it was actually a lie. Somebody had used me. I mean...
Okay, Adeole, now that with this report, Nigerian army has now been given a clean bill, will this restore confidence of Nigeria in the eyes of the international community?
Well, first of all, I would say a clean bill in some areas.
Yes, in some areas.
I think, and that's why we need to give credit to the Nigerian Human Rights Commission, for the panel. And in fact, for the fact that there are a lot of, apart from the judge that led that panel, we also had Lieutenant General Saruwiwa, the immediate junior brother of the late Ken Saruwiwa, who was former head of intelligence. And when this panel was set up, the former chief of army staff attended and gave evidence. The former chief of defense staff, Rabo, attended and gave evidence. And they invited 199 witnesses and also invited about 8 girls who are supposed to be victims. So you can see that you can verify, the content of that panel, what they did. There are things you can verify. And they went from one place to the other, talking to people. Even went to government hospitals, private hospitals, and collected data, within this period of 18 months, that the panel was set up. So when you read the document, you will know that this is a thorough job that was done by members of that panel. I think one thing is certain. We need to be very careful, because the Western media is not immune, from its tradition of setting Western agenda. Okay. Using Africa as specimens of the dark world. They are more interested in writing stories that will interest their audience. People in Europe want to read about whether true or not, how Africans are eating each other, how they are balkanizing each other. But you can see what is happening in Europe, the battle and all that. How many, savage stories have you seen on the screen of so-called international media? But look at what they are writing on Sudan, on Libya. So a government must be nationalistic, media, journalists must also be nationalistic, and be very cautious to sieve the grain from the chaff, especially when it comes to international media reportage of events in Africa, especially in Nigeria. So it does not mean that because that report came from Reuters, it's more credible than the Punch newspaper or the Guardian. In actual fact, they don't go on that field. They just send 1 or 2 people to go there, and then that person gives a report. So if that person has political leaning, or is biased, it will definitely reflect in the... And of course, they were fair enough. Reuters was invited to come to the panel, but he didn't turn up that. Exactly. He didn't turn up that. He turned down that invitation. So for me, and I think if you look at that report, it came out with indictment in certain areas that look, killing of children. The army was indicted. Though the number being is not. They were talking about 18. Villagers that were killed. Among them, there were women and children. Yeah. And of course, when we are talking about 10,000 pregnant victims of, for Christ's sake, 10,000. Who are those that gave them, that raped them? 10,000 women, pregnant women. How did you manage to know that figure is a round figure? 10,000, not 10,008, not 99,000. So we need to be very careful about if it's in other countries, they can actually ask Reuters to leave this country. Yes. I'm telling you.
You can't do that.
I'm telling you. For example. So we need to, as Nigerian journalists, we need to be very careful not to say, oh, the BBC has reported, oh, it is the truth. So the people that write that report are also human beings like us. So I think they indicted the media, the army in certain areas, and they gave recommendations. They are talking about civil military cooperation. They are going to start in Borno in a few weeks' time. Bringing, they are talking about compensation for certain victims, and they're also talking about more training for our, for soldiers and all that. So I think I'm happy with what the commissioner has done, and I believe that is the authentic report that we need to hold on for now.
Okay, BK, the snubbing, Reuters snubbing, Médecins Sans Frontières snubbing, International Red Cross snubbing the panel. What does that say?
If they have their facts, why would they not go and present it? That's what the Yorubans say.
Some said that, they didn't come because they already knew the outcome of it.
How did they know the outcome? How did they? Well, was the military not indicted? You heard from him. The military in the past had dropped weapons on innocent civilians. Yeah. Did anybody say it was right? The military had done extrajudicial killings. I remember even forwarding a video of soldiers torturing people to the former chief of defense staff, Irabo. And he said, we always tell these boys not to do this. But there are bad eggs in the military who put to shame hardworking and good ones. Yes, hardworking and brilliant officers and men. So nobody is saying that the armed forces, they are beyond reproach. Nobody is saying they are perfect. But you cannot levy allegations against them. Then they sent for you to come and defend yourself.
And you did not show up.
You did not. You know, people view some of these foreign NGOs, they view them with a lot of suspicion. For many of them, they don't even want these wars to end. The wars within our country, they don't want them to end. Because they are also making money off it.
Okay. So,
I'm not surprised that they stayed away. They cannot say, oh, because they thought that they already knew what the report would be. Are they saying the military had never been indicted in our country?
Okay.
The military had been indicted by so many reports indicting the military. That is something that I know.
Okay.
So if you have your facts, why stay away? You can present it. You don't even have to be physically present to present your facts. People, journalists, do investigation and submit the content of their investigation to to law enforcement. And it will be like cast iron evidence. They leave the journalists have sent people to jail without having to come and testify. They just submit their own investigation, news of the world. They used to do that in those days. They just submit the facts that they have about a matter. The next thing you hear that somebody has been arrested and that person is going to jail.
Okay.
So they are the ones who can explain why. I hate this unnecessary cynicism about our country. Oh, they can never do something like, oh, they will never indict. No, let us get to that point.
Okay.
We were told that the president will bring better edu back now. Has it happened?
Exactly. Exactly.
No, have you seen her amongst the ministers? People were asking silly questions. They will go to Bayo Ononuga and say, is he still in the cabinet? They will go to this Temitope Ajayi. Oh, you can see that she's not in the cabinet. You are still asking whether she's part of the cabinet. That's a silly question to ask anybody.
All right, gentlemen. Let's move straight. Let's move straight to our next conversation. About 3 months after President Bola Tinubu signed the new minimum wage bill into law, more than 7 states are yet to approve the minimum wage for their workers. The states are Zamfara, Sokoto, Osun, Cross River, Imo, Plateau, Taraba, and the FCT. But the 25 states have commenced payments or made